Hey guys, welcome back. BDCKR here. We're back with our weekly recap. This is for the week of June 24th, 2021. The current character challenge is Raven. That is a 1 week repeat. The required characters for that are Wonder Woman, Nightwing, and Flash, who are silver, bronze, and bronze, respectively. So one of the easiest characters with actual requirements to get. Right. Her passive is Demonic Rage, which is twice per match. When Raven is below 20% health, she swaps health with her opponent. Bosses are protected. She's got 1,050 attack and 1,000 health. She was last available in August of 2020.
So she's got lowish kind of stats. And I don't know if you remember, there was a time where she was one of the characters, when Breakthrough had come, she was not in the cycle.
Yeah.
And so it was even worse because her lowish stats stayed lowish compared to everybody else who was getting.
They were boostable.
Yeah. So she's still a great card. She was one of the first who had a passive that affected game strategy, like fighting strategy, planning strategy.
It was the first big thing that really changed everybody's approach to the game.
Right.
Because it had to.
Right. So even though she doesn't have great stats, her health swap passive is still super useful. She's really great in multiplayer and Survivor. You can see her in our video for How to Beat Survivor from a few years back. Mm-hmm. Swapping health makes a big difference when your opponent's health pool is much bigger than yours, and that's what you have in Survivor.
Yeah.
The key, though, is to make sure that when she takes damage, her health lands somewhere between 0 and 20%, because if it doesn't, if you have 21% health and they smack you back down to 0, your passive won't trigger.
And as anybody who's fought her knows, that's the main strategy for dealing with her most of the time.
Yep. She was one of the earliest gold cards to have multiple hits on the combo ender and be able to really exploit the gears that had a combo ender effect.
Yeah.
By doubling it. Mm-hmm. And that part where it says bosses are protected, that was not always the case for the longest time. She was amazing. If you needed to get through the offline mode, the single player game,
she was the person for bosses easily.
Yeah. And so what's really interesting now is that despite not having her pack, we had a different Raven pack last week. This is now the 14th in a row of challenge characters that matches a pattern that first started in May 2020. Mm-hmm. And if it follows a pattern,
Earth 2 Sol Grandi should be up next. So that's our prediction.
Yeah.
This week's multiplayer reward is Gingo Fruit, which becomes the Gingold Soda. It gives you, when it's fully maxed out, a 30% damage reduction from basic attacks. Blocking stops 22% more damage. A 35% damage reduction from crit attacks. And then the evolved ability, which is a 20% chance to take no damage from basic attacks. It was last available in December of 2020. We are back on track with the 25th week in a row into the established cycle after a quick interruption 25 weeks ago. So we're 1 week away from being half a year.
Yeah.
And so we expect to see Necron's Scythe, which starts out as the Black Power Battery, next week.
All right, so this is a great piece of gear for defense. It is not the best defensive gear because that's still the Astro Harness. Mm-hmm. I said harness.
But this is up there.
This is right up there, yeah. So when you use it on the right character with the right combination of gears, you can actually there's a lot of different loadouts on different characters where you can literally take no basic damage at all.
Yeah, and it's great that it's a 4.5-star gear with no character-specific effects.
Yeah.
Everybody gets the same value out of it.
Yeah. And just to point out, we demonstrated it on Regime Nightwing. That's the Silver Nightwing. It is the intro video on our channel.
Yeah.
So in his loadout with basic damage reduction by 30% from Gingo Soda, Killer Croc Companion Gear reduces basic damage by 20%, and then his passive reduces basic damage in half. He was taking 0 basic damage against guys that were way higher stats than he was. Mm-hmm. And so, in fact, in that loadout, the 20% chance to take no damage from basics doesn't even come into play, because the reduced damage is actually reduced down to 0 even if it hits. So it hits 0 damage. If it doesn't hit, if it misses, still 0 damage.
Yeah.
And did I make this joke before? Extreme couponing, which we can't do in Canada, but I've seen those shows where you have coupons that exceeds the price of the item, so that you actually get money back for buying it.
You can do moderate couponing in Canada.
Yeah, so this is like the Canadian version of couponing because you don't get any health back.
Yeah, it only drops down to 0.
And the cool thing is, so that's only 2 gear slots. You got one more to use however you want. And in his case, the reason why we use Razzle Glow Scimitar, because it keeps draining power the same way his special one does. So that means he doesn't take basic damage. You keep on draining power, then they're less likely to do specials. Mm-hmm. And I guess the other option for his third slot would be a damage over time gear, because we all know that gears up, scales up to the opponent. Mm-hmm. So you could actually take no basic damage and still be able to take down huge, high stat opponents.
Yeah, as long as you had special ones available.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We've also used him on our Justice League team on New 52 Superman.
And by him, you mean the gear here.
The gear, Gingold Soda. And so this is the dilemma, right? So you see Nightwing, he takes no damage, which is kind of great. Mm-hmm. But then he's sort of, unless you gear him right, he's sort of a dead slot.
Yeah.
New 52 Superman sort of overcomes that because his passive, if he survives long enough to generate that power himself or get it from, say, teammate New 52 Wonder Woman, then his passive will give him the damage boost that you need, and you can use his gear slots to make him take no basic damage. Mm-hmm. So that means instead of being like a full on, like he's geared as a full on tank, but his passive means that he's not just stuck with his, base stat damage to
that he gets to whack people around pretty hard still.
Yeah.
In the store, we have Earth 2 Solomon Grundy for $24.99 Canadian. It was $25.99 in August of 2020. It's probably a clue to next week's challenge, which is why, our prediction is likely to continue to be right.
Right. And if the pattern holds from last May, then the one after Earth 2 Solomon Grundy, which we normally wouldn't have a clue to, would be static.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes open.
Yeah. So for the static pack next week, hopefully.
Yeah.
We also have the character bundle Battle of Themyscira or Themyscira for $24.99. It was $26.99 in August of 2020. So it's interesting. They've dropped down to the same price, but they used to be $1 different. So I don't know what's going on over there. But, who knows?
Deflation.
Yeah. The characters in that are Ares and Dawn of Justice Wonder Woman and their signature gears. So it's not Wonder Woman's regular gear. It's the Lariat, which is a promo from back when they released the Dawn of Justice characters originally.
So I like it when they do this, because if you're going to spend the money, I mean, it's still not worth it, but if you're going to spend the money, then I'd rather it was something really
special. The rare
special.
one, yeah.
Yeah, not something that you can get in the regular gear locker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It always makes it a little bit better of a deal. Not a great deal.
And so the other interesting thing is, maybe it'll show up a little bit later today, but after 1 week of the 300 Nth Metal Aquaman pack, there was no 300 Nth Metal pack this week. Yeah. So we'll see. Or so no new one. Sometimes the pack hangs around a little bit longer, so maybe later today after we filmed this and uploaded it, it'll be there.
Our Survivor is the Suicide Squad Companion Gear set until the 30th of June, 2021. Phantom Zone is finished. Fight 62 is still broken. Last weekend's breakthrough was Bane, Killer Frost, and Ares, and this coming weekend should be Sinestro, Green Arrow, and Scorpion.
Right. Link in the description, Reddit thread, started by Devlin16, complete breakthrough cycle, and lots of other information about Injustice. Devlin16 is one of the moderators on that and a big contributor to that thread.
And a predominant Injustice scholar, I think, is fair to say.
Yeah, I think so.
Moving on to glitches. Every working glitch is explained in a tutorial video. As part of the playlist, you can reach by clicking the eye in the top right corner of this video right now, or checking out our description, or going to our channel. And that's the best place for you to look up if you want to figure out how to do glitches all by yourself.
Yeah.
That's the best place to go.
Right.
We won't give you enough information here. There's nothing new here to report, so you can always just...
Yeah, we just like to emphasize some of the points that maybe aren't as obvious in the big picture of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we can't speak to Android 10 or later versions of Android, and we can't speak to iOS for troubleshooting, but we can mention what other people have said. So starting out with stuff that you might want to do that you can't right now, all stuff that you were able to do in the past at some point. There's no glitch for credits we're willing to endorse. Check out Season 6, Episode 9 of our P&Q and C and A&T to hear an in-depth explanation of why we won't tell you about the one that does exist. Mm-hmm. In terms of other stuff, you can't get repeated past multiplayer season rewards. You can't get early multiplayer season rewards. You can't get through the Phantom Zone supernaturally quickly. You can only get through it in, 12 minutes or so.
Super quickly.
Yeah,
like
you can
us.
get through it very quickly, but not fake levels of quick. And you can't get free energy without having to watch the video. You have to watch the video now.
So working glitches. Challenge reset method that requires Google Play Cloud Save is working. Confirmed on the current Raven challenge. I mean, Phantom Zone is done now, so it's not really as important that it's the same glitch as Phantom Zone. It's just something to keep in mind because you get in the habit of resetting challenge over and over and over again, and you're not thinking that it's actually going to have an impact on something else. They're the same glitch. Mm-hmm. So progress on one resets the progress on the other when the Phantom Zone is around.
Yep.
And also just a note, if you are on Android 10 and doing this glitch, or maybe even higher, and one of the problems is that you need to re-download more than a gig of data. You don't want to do that. Possible solution, cut and paste it into the description from viewer 10 make Kakde about which files you want to move around, so that instead of re-downloading it, you're just shifting it from one folder to another.
Mm-hmm. And if you're on iOS, Jonathan Yang has got your back in our description also.
Right.
Breakthrough glitch, let you play repeatedly, is still working. Airplane mode / refund glitch is working. That's good for anything where you're getting a random reward from a pool of rewards, as long as you don't need to be online to redeem that reward, which is to say Phantom Zone.
Right.
Time shifting still works for unlimited survivor play and energy recharges. As always, return your clock back to normal before you start just playing as normal. Only use that when you're actually trying to manipulate your sort of...
Yeah, because it can mess up other events and they don't show up like the challenge or Phantom Zone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for working glitches. That's it for not working glitches. And then there's one that's in between. It's the promotion glitch. The one where you used to be able to promote characters that are still locked. The reason why it's in between is because conditions haven't been around for a while. But when the conditions are around, it's never failed us even the one time. Mm-hmm. So despite the fact that conditions haven't been around for a few years since update 2.14, it's still in that list of current glitches because it hasn't failed us yet.
So there we go. And to finish up, we'd like to give a huge thank you to all the wonderful people who support us on Patreon. Not just because some people we are obligated to for the tier, but because we genuinely do really appreciate each and every person who supports us. So that's a huge thank you to Console Peasant and Edwoon at the top tier last word. Sinemac, Mohammed Albshaiti at the Your Message Cheer tier. Shawn, Farrell, Daniel Simonson, Aaron Maule, Michael DeVries, Brandon C., Irvin Ruiz, and Eddydoo, who support us on the credited level, and Chris Wolff, Scarlet, Dani, Awesomegamer241, Pavu RS, Gavin, Mallott, and Isfar E at the gratitude level. Thanks so much for your support, and we'll see you next time. Komoda!